So who we have on who are returning from Geneva, Switzerland, from the Permanent Forum of Peoples of African Descent. We have from the Afro-descendant nation leader, attorney Harriet Abubakar, the great wife of the Honorable Silas Muhammad. We have the ambassador, my comrade in the Afro-descendant nation leadership, Dr. Tahida Sabri. And I serve as the conductor in this great operation, Afro-descendant nation. Also with us is Sifiwe Baleka, who is a reparations expert and Afro-descendant special envoy who we work very closely with. They all have the inside facts. So these are our great guests, and there's a lot going on. I think this is a turning point for reparations. So here they are.
All right. Well, let's get started. We'll hear from all three of you about what happened with the UN resolution vote. We'll start with you, Attorney Malik. What happened? Do we win or lose? Did it move the needle at all when it comes to reparations?
Well, this effort was inspired by the great president of Ghana, John Mahama, and this resolution passed, the one I just described, that declared the Transatlantic Slave Trade as the gravest crime against humanity, passed with 123 votes in the United Nations General Assembly, 52 abstentions, and there were 3 no votes by the United States, Israel, and Argentina. That's what happened, and it calls for reparations. And there's and then I'm going to let the guests who actually were in Geneva, Switzerland, talk about the rest.
All right, let's start with Sister Harriet. Sister Harriet, your thoughts?
Yes. Well, thank you, Carl, for having us on the show. And I was very impressed with the outcome of the entire conference. And I was especially impressed with the number of young people that showed up there. I think our future is going to be in good hands with young leaders like that. And one of the things they said during the conference was that they wanted to shift more decision-making problems to the young people. Right now, they said the older people have it, but we would like to see that change in the next 5 years. And I think they're up to the task. When I was there, I was representing the All for Reparations and Emancipation in NGO. And as such, I wanted the audience to know the contributions that my husband, the Honorable Silas Muhammad, had made over the past 30 years, and I've been working with him, to having all of this permanent forum of people of African descent present. And so I spent my 2 minutes that they gave me on letting them know that he had been one of the original speakers at the Durban conference. That's what we were working on that particular day. And I let them know that a lot of history had built up to making that day happen. I don't know if I have enough time to go into all that history with you on your show. You can let me know that. But
all right. Yeah, we'll probably
very good.
Yeah, we'll probably touch on that later on. We'll let you get into that later on. It's 15 after the top there. Family, just checking in. Attorney Malik Shabazz, the founder of the Black Lawyers for Justice, is our guest. He's brought with him a panel of folks who attended the UN resolution vote that took place recently. You just heard from Attorney Harriet Abubakar. And now, Brother Sipiwe, your thoughts on that meeting?
Yes, greetings. Thank you for having me on the show. Let me get straight to the point. First of all, the UN resolution that was passed is not justiciable. It was an effort to achieve political consensus, which it did not do. As you mentioned, there's 120 plus nations on one side and 50 plus nations on the other side. That's not consensus. All it did was reveal, right, who's on which side. Now, the important thing is, since the Durban Declaration, we've already declared this as a crime against humanity. The essential issue is enforcement. And so what we have wanted to do 25 years post-Durban is make it a justiciable claim that can be litigated in court. Now, Ghana's strategy is, now that they've got this resolution passed, they want to create a treaty on crimes, slavery as a crime against humanity, and then use that treaty to make it justiciable. But that's a process that they admit will take 10 years. There's another legal process that is available to us today that we can use by bringing our case under the Geneva Convention, which everybody has already signed, which is binding law. Maybe we can get into that later. My final comment is this. In order to understand what happened, you got to know how this thing originated. It was a group of reparations activists.
And I tell you what, Brother Sibaway, hold that thought right there. We got to take a quick break. I'll let you finish your thought on the other side. Family just joining us. Our guest is Attorney Malik Shabazz. He's brought a panel of guests with him as well to discuss the UN resolution vote that took place recently. You too can get in on this conversation. You know how to reach us, 800-450-7876. And we'll take your phone calls next. And Grand Rising family, thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for starting the Tuesday with us. Our guest is Attorney Malik Shabazz. He's the founder of the Black Lawyers for Justice, and he's brought with him a group of folks who attended the UN vote on reparations. That some people say was a controversial vote. We'll find out because they were there. We have Attorney Arid Abubakar with us, and we also have Brother Sibaway Buluka, and also Dr. Sabri is with us as well. So when we left, we're speaking with the Brother Sibaway. So Brother Sibaway, I'll let you finish your thought.
Okay, thank you. So the origin of this UN Ghana resolution goes back to 2022. There were a group of reparations activists, including Ron Daniels, Cam Howard, and others that had formed a group called the Global Circle for Healing and Reparation. They went to Ghana in 2022 and held a conference. AU officials, Ghana officials, attended, and they learned everything that was presented from our activists. They then took that information and, without working with this Global Circle of Healing group, they had what was called the Accra Reparations Conference in 2023. I was a sponsored delegate to that conference. They brought all of these reparation activists from around the world, and Ghana and the AU had already written a script and a narrative for what they wanted, but by having all these people, it looked like it was a Ubuntu consensual process. And out of that, they had already pre-drafted resolutions that were going to establish a committee of experts, reparations experts, and a legal reference group. Okay? By the time they had this 2023 Accra Reparations Conference, the original group, right, that came out of the reparations movement in the United States had then been excluded. Meanwhile, the African Union had named Ghana to be its champion, and since 2023, they've been having a series of events that are being funded by Trust Africa, Reform Initiatives, and Open Society Foundation. Those are the ones calling the shots. For Ghana, this is about using the reparations label to get development aid. And those of us that have been deeply involved in this, trying to make sure that the original aims and objectives and narratives don't change, like a switch from the justice due to our ancestors, right, to now, quote unquote, climate change. So the AU and Ghana, they are redrafting the narrative. They're using the right words, but they have a completely different agenda. And so my opinion of this is, yes, it moved the needle somewhat in getting political exposure and giving the appearance where it looks like most of the world is on our side, but behind the scenes, it's completely different. So let me land there.
Gotcha. All right, okay. 25. the top there. Attorney Malik, we have, is it Licia with us from New York?
Okay, I think we have here, I'm looking for Dr. Tahita Sabri, who was in Geneva. And I think I want to clarify here what Envoy Baleka is saying here. This is a pivotal moment, and this vote that the whole world is talking about, where the United Nations has declared the transatlantic slave trade the gravest crime against humanity.
Yeah.
And it appears that it is the next step towards in the reparations fight. But Brother Baleka is also saying that we got to be conscious here, especially as Afro descendants, that our claims are being genuinely pursued here, that they're being genuinely pursued, and another agenda is not afoot that is not necessarily for establishing full and complete reparations for Afro descendants in America. Others in this country call it foundational Black Americans or so forth. Well, we just making sure, Brother Baleka, I think what he's saying is that our claims here in the West are not being sidelined for some other agenda, such as climate change or some development aid by Africa. That's an important point that we will cover as we talk about this fight for reparations.
Gotcha. All right. Dr. Sabri, as you mentioned, he's with us on line 4, Grand Rising. Dr. Sabri, your thoughts on what took place at the UN?
Yes, sir. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for having us on, and thank you, Attorney Malik, for inviting us. So I just want to clarify 2 things here. So that historic global development that happened at the United Nations General Assembly was on March the 25th. Now, the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, which we attended, was the week of April the 13th through the 17th. That's an annual forum that happens every year, and it rotates between Geneva and New York annually. This was the 5th session of the Permanent Forum. Now, the Permanent Forum's mandate is to specifically advance the equal rights of people of African descent on addressing racism and discrimination and reparations. And so it provides expert advice to the United Nations Human Rights Council. And so that's what we were there for. We were part of a 7-member delegation that under AFRI, which is All for Reparations and Emancipation. It's an education and advocacy organization that was created under the leadership of the Honorable Salis Muhammad all the way back in 1997. And it was due to his formal interventions. He had given over 30 interventions at the United Nations before 2006, which was instrumental in laying the foundation for this forum that exists today. So we have a forum now, and this year was commemorating 25 years since the Durban Declaration that Brother Safiwe was talking about, that declared slavery as a crime against humanity. That was the original declaration. And this was 25 years after, and we were talking about what progress has been made, if any, towards reparations, and that this is also the second decade for reparations as well. So the focus, we had 4 panel or thematic panel discussions, and the ones that we focused on was reparatory justice and cultural heritage. And so what we do is we give interventions, and it was, all of us in our delegation were able to speak on that And, our basis or what we're talking about this year is moving from talk to implementation. How do we lay an actual reparations framework that works? Brother Safiwe, he always talks about that we need to get an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice, ICJ, that will explain what that framework for reparatory justice should be, and how we can go about it. It's about implementation now, and just not just talk.
Gotcha. 30 minutes at the top of the hour. Family, just checking in. I guess his attorney Malik Zhabazz is brought within a panel of folks who attended the UN resolution vote on reparations. We've talked about it quite a bit. And joining us also from New York City, as I mentioned, is Leisha. So Leisha, Grand Rising, welcome to the program. Your thoughts on the UN vote on reparations?
I know that we've been fighting a long time, and I just know that we have to keep pushing. We have to keep having conversations and getting everyone on board that we can possibly get, because up till today, this should have already been resolved. This should already been done. All we're doing is being gaslit. They don't want. If they wanted it done, it would have been done. So we have to keep fighting on our end.
So what's the next move?
What's our next move?
Yeah.
Keep being that voice out there fighting for it, making sure that it stays on the bill. I know I certainly keep my eye on it.
Okay.
Right.
I'd like to weigh in on that.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Yeah, I think where we are, not only in this conversation, but in the process, is that there's an opening. When a vote like that happens, there is an opening. As my sister just said, not only are we having conversations, but our people, 40 million black people or Afro-descendants in America, want to know, is that UN General Assembly vote going to translate into something tangible for their aspirations for reparations? And you're also in a climate where the president and the United States government is taking a very hostile position to anything the United Nations does that is against Western and white American interest. And now you have a burden here. I'll say the ball moves to the court of the Afro-descendant nation. The ball moves to the court of N'Cobra. The ball moves to the court of the reparations movement in America to see what these organizations and leaders, including some on the phone, will do to move the process forward. Otherwise, Brother Carl Nelson will have to ask the question, well, what happens next? The Afro-descendant nation, of which I'm a part of, should have some answers. I have some answers, but we as leadership, Sister Nkechi Taifa, who comes on here, Omali Shatella, all those who say on this platform that they are for reparations, is a time where clear answers must be provided. In that vein, I would like to get Sister Harriet Abubakar, Attorney Harriet Abubakar, opinion on what happens next, and certainly Envoy Sapiwe Baleka's opinion on what the leadership should be doing next in this hour.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
If I may go first, since I'm calling from Guinea-Bissau and I might run out of ability, would you allow me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So in order to answer the question, what do we do now and where do we go from here, you have to know the inside architecture of what's actually happening, okay? The decision makers are the AU Committee of Experts on Reparations, AUCIL, as well as the AU Legal Reference Group on Reparations. These are the two bodies, right, that are now running the reparations show, making the decisions. They are having a meeting on June 18th and June 19th. Now, these two bodies were mandated out of that 2023 ACRA Reparations conference that I spoke about, that I was a delegate to. But there's an inner circle within that group that is making all these decisions. First of all, the first thing that we need to do is we need to approach the AU and say, here are our representatives from the AU 6th region that we, as the legacy reparations organizations, want on the Committee of Experts on Reparations. Right now, that committee consists of continental Africans who didn't suffer enslavement. The other organ is the AU Legal Reference Group on Reparations. We, as the African Union 6th region, should be appointing our representatives and telling them, here's who we want. But that's not what's happening. The AU is handpicking people outside of the legacy reparations organizations to represent us. So the step forward is there must be a campaign that says this is who we want, and it's not necessarily the oldest or the ones most out front. It's the ones with the most legal clarity, because it's a legal challenge right now. Those people there has to be a campaign to get those people seated on the committees, on these two bodies, and attend that meeting June 18th and June 19th.
Gotcha. All right. Sister Harriet, Attorney Harriet.
All right. We did have a side conference at this convention that we recently attended, and I did suggest on behalf of Afro-descendant nation and the Afri that we think about the possibilities of putting together a trust committee and have on this trust committee representatives on both sides.
Sister Harriet, hold your thought right there. We got to take a quick break. I'll let you finish up your thought on the other side. When we get back, also, Money Mike has a question for the panel. Family, you two can get in on this conversation with Attorney Malik Shabazz and his guest. You know how to reach us at 800-450-7876, and we'll take your phone calls next. And Grand Rising family, thanks for flowing with us on this Tuesday morning. Our guest is Attorney Malik Shabazz. You know him as the founder of the Black Lawyers for Justice, and he brought with him a panel of guests who actually attended the historic UN vote on reparations. Before we left, we're speaking to one of them. It happens to be an Attorney Harriet Abubakar. So, Attorney Harriet, I'm going to let you finish your thought.
Okay. What I was bringing up to them, and it was a mixed group, I suggested that we get our best legal minds and put together a trust committee that represents those who were colonizers and represents those who were slave masters with those who are the victims of the colonizers and the slave masters. Let all of us sit down at a table, discuss some possibilities, and come up with some agreements, because I don't see any practical way of our getting reparations or reparatory justice without these kind of discussions. And then I told them in a finishing point that if and when we come to agreements that would have to stretch out into the future, then we could have that enforced by the BRICS nations. Now, Safiwe, if you think that this is something you can discuss in your June 18th meeting, you have my permission to bring it up.
Okay. This is what I want. Can I jump in real quick, Brother Carl? So, I want to, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so what I want to say, like I've told our leaders here, see, grassroots people that's listening to this conversation in America and some around the world, what they want to know is after all these years is where is not only where is the process going, but where is the leadership taking them? I think we suffer from one issue here, and that's lack of a unified mandate in the West. This conversation has revealed the issue of a lack of a unified mandate. So So something historic occurs at the UN, or there needs to be some adjustments, amendments. There needs to be some changes. We need to get this thing right so that it really achieves reparations for our people. I think what we're talking about here is that, honestly speaking, there's lack of speaking with one voice or a unified mandate for blacks or Afro descendants in the West who are speaking, who advocate for reparations. That's an issue here. So I'm hoping Envoy Baleka and will speak to that.
All right. Actually, well, hold the thought there, panel, because Money Mike has a question for all of you guys. He's calling from Baltimore. He's on line 5. Grand Rising Money Mike, your question for the panel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Fine.
Okay. First, I want to take y'all back to George Floyd's murder. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, now, America was shamed for what happened to George Floyd, and they felt guilty. They felt embarrassed. When the Japanese were interned in this country, Japan held the government of this country responsible. When the Jews, they were persecuted in Germany, the Jewish people, Israel, they lobbied for reparations in the United States that the United States imposed on Germany. When the Native Americans were decimated, were destroyed in this country, we saw a TV commercial that showed a Native American crying, looking at a stream that we had polluted. And therefore, we felt guilty. Not me, but this country felt guilty for what it's done. We need a campaign to show the atrocities that happened to us first. Second, we have to come up with a way to make this country pay us, either through school, because already we've seen with the abolishment of affirmative action, with the abolishment of DEI, every time we've made strides in this country, they found a way to diminish our efforts. So I don't see this country giving up reparations, because this country was built on the fact that it's you doing bad, but as long as you're doing better than a black person in this country, you have nothing to complain about. And that's why Donald Trump is in this office, because Make America Great meant taking this country, not enslaving African Americans, but taking this country back to where they could afford a home, their children could go to college, 2 cars in a garage, and now they don't feel as though this country has lived up what it gave their great-grandfathers and their great-great-grandfathers. So how are we going to make them live up to it and enforce it to make them give us not monetary necessarily, but some kind of reparations in this country? I don't see it. I don't hear a game plan.
All right.
Well, hold 1 second. Let me jump in.
Thanks, Money Mike.
Before I pass it to Envoy Baleka. Sure. Brother, I understand your frustrations and I share them, but I think a game plan is possible. We're going to be talking about the possibility of a national black political convention that's coming up with Brother Carl here in the second hour. Right here, you said make them. What was going to make them? You don't see a game plan. Frederick Douglass teaches us that power concedes nothing without a demand, to paraphrase him. So I just want to say quickly, let's look at that Target boycott before it was called off or whatever. That Target boycott over mere DEI issues was successful. We are revisiting the proposal that sanctions. This is a tough political time with tough political enemies. We take a hard line, and if we use our economic power to levy sanctions in America against those that owe us reparations and really take it seriously and spread well beyond Target and well beyond DEI, I think that's one part of a game plan, one part that can be very effective if we attack with economic sanctions on the economic end. And so that's one thing that is in the mix, so don't lose hope. But I'll let Brother Baleka, Envoy Baleka, give his perspective.
Okay, thank you, Attorney.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll say it again. It's important to understand the environment and the architecture that has co-opted the reparations movement and is now leading it. It is being led through the African Union and through CARICOM. Now, what's important to understand is CARICOM has what's called its Reparations Commission. It consists of 13 national reparations commissions. So, for example, Jamaica has its National Reparations Commission. Barbados has its National Reparations Commission, etc. 13 of those islands have those National Reparations Commissions. What Attorney Harriet Abubakar is talking about actually already exists. The AU links to us through the National African American Reparations Commission, which is headed by Dr. Ron Daniels. Okay? So the difference between our National African American Reparations Commission and the Barbados National Reparations Commission, for example, is we are actually seeking reparations from our own United States government. The Barbadians are not seeking reparations from the Barbados government. So the National Reparations Commissions are an instrument of the state. We don't have that in the United States. Okay? Since we don't have state power that way, the African Union is not respecting us. That conversation that Attorney Harriet Abubakar mentioned about us forming our side and sitting at the table with them, this is what I'm saying. That's happening right now. This is what the AU Committee of Experts on Reparations is, and the AU Legal Reference Group on Reparations is. Okay? They are having that conversation with the former slave owners, how we engage the guilty Hacienda monopoly war contract holders that prosecuted the invasion of Africa under the direction of the Vatican Church. The African Union is deliberately not inviting us to those tables. They are not calling the National African American Reparations Commission, that it has a relationship with for several years now. They're not calling them and saying, send your representatives to these meetings. So we got to understand the picture clearly. This is what we call the state elite capture of what was originally a people's reparation movement for the state's own agenda. So since that is happening, what we have to do is use whatever power we have to say, this thing is not going down without us at the table.
That's right. That's right.
We have to put our representatives on these two bodies that you have established. And if not, you will not get the support of Afro-descendant nation, of the 50 million black people in America, and we will, do our work with the other Afro-descendants in North, South, Central America, and the Caribbean, and other people in the African diaspora, the AU 6th region, to expose the wrong and say, this is wrong, this is right, this is the right thing that needs to be done, and if we're not going to do it in the right way, we're not going to be successful. We're not trying to fight anybody, but you can't do this thing without us being at the table. And if these committees are composed of just Africans from the continent who are not actually the children, the offspring of those who were enslaved, how is it possible you can have a reparations leadership composed of such people without us? So let me leave it there.
Possible.
I agree that we need a national black political convention too.
Yes.
Anybody want
to jump in there too? Yes, I'd like to add that that's why what Cecilia is talking about. That's why our identity and our unity is so important. When we call ourselves Afro-descendant, it refers to descendants of people who were forcibly dispossessed from their homeland, Africa, were transported to the Americas and slavery diaspora for the purpose of enslavement, were subjected to chattel slavery, were subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape, and have experienced through force the loss of mother tongue. We're the only people that can't speak our own language, the people who lost our culture and religion. And we've experienced racial discrimination due to lost ties from our original identity. So that's why it's important to understand what it means to be Afro-descendant. Us coming together under just that identity itself and unifying is essential as a first step in this process of presenting ourselves at the table. We have to come together under one identity. And so
let me interject at that point.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is part of the history
Go right ahead.
that our people need to know. And this is what we started working on back in 1992. My husband, the Honorable Silas Muhammad, sent me to the UN to learn the system and how it operates. I came under the wing of a Dutch attorney that pretty much showed me the ropes and told me that Europe would not even give us any attention unless we attended every meeting for 7 years in a row. I said, all right, we can do that. We went on. We established working groups. We established the permanent, what am I trying to say? The African people's descendants. What am I trying to say, Tawhida?
The Permanent Forum on People of African Descent.
Yes, the people of African descent. That discussion, that whole topic was something we brought up when human rights was a department. We were so successful in raising issues of recognition at that point. And we were growing, and we were being helped by United Nations officials until they shut the entire department down to show you what was going on. They turned it into the Human Rights Department. But this issue of recognition gave us the ability to be recognized as a people by the United Nations. We had meetings of 19 nations, and they had voting power. We voted on the name Afro-descendants. This was the first time when we haven't had a name description forced down our throats. So this is something our people need to know, that the term Afro-descendant was voted upon and agreed to by 19 nations, and it is being used. That definition you cited.
Attorney Harris, hold that thought right there. We got to take a short break here so our stations can identify themselves down the line. I'll let you finish your thought on the other side. Also, Bill in Baltimore has a question for the panel. Family, you too can join our discussion. Reach out to us at 800-450-7876, and we'll take your phone calls next. And Grand Rising family, thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday morning. Our guest is Attorney Malik Shabazz. He's got a panel discussing reparations, and momentarily we're going to have another panel here discussing whether or not we should have a national black political convention. But first, let's wrap up with this panel. And before we left, I think Attorney Harriet Abubakar was speaking, so I'll let her finish your thought. And then, as I mentioned, Bill in Baltimore has a question for the panel. Sister Harriet?
Okay. Yes, I believe I left off with the definition that we came up with. And we did this, and it was approved by 19 nations of Afro-descendants. This was their choice. This was accepted by the United Nations. So it's not like nothing's been going on the last 30 years. It's just that our people in the United States didn't know all these details. And what we're trying to do now, even in using the term Afro-descendant nation, is to organize our organizations. We want to get together under that name because we know that we have standing in the United Nations using that name. They have accepted it. So what we want to do is come under that umbrella and go forward.
All right, as I mentioned, Bill in Baltimore has a question for the panel before we let you guys go. He's on line 5. Grand Rising, Bill, your question for the panel.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and top of the morning to each of you. I've really enjoyed the panel call. I guess I have more so of a statement than a question. And I guess the statement is that, when we disagree with each other, I think that we should be, offering another alternative to a solution, because I think anybody is offering a solution or anybody working towards reparation or unity, then we have to embrace that opposed to criticizing that. And if we criticize, then we should be trying to make it stronger opposed to trying to give other people doubts in terms of things that don't work. So that's basically what I wanted to say.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Okay, I
want to
say
respond,
this,
Counselor?
Absolutely. This is a great show. It opens up many opportunities, but the gentleman is precisely correct. This is 2026, and we're about to be in the month of May. So this is not a new conversation, and this is not a new struggle. This not only pertains to reparations, but every other subject that we're about to talk about. We talk about this national possibility for a national black political convention. We're talking about the electoral question, the violence question, the reparations question, all of the economic question, all of the questions. Our people are good people, and they're willing to fight. But our people want to know from our leadership is where are we going? Where's the constructive alternative? Where is it that we're getting beyond our differences, and like Minister Malcolm X says, and fighting on a common front? This is what the people want to hear. They're demanding to hear. And so I think that's where we're going to be headed in this next hour, just talking about the consensus that's needed to make some progress, and that's where I want to head. That's where we're going to head here. We talk about this National Black Political Convention, reparations. Black people and Afro descendants who are listening to this call in America and the Western Hemisphere, they want to know what their organizations are doing, what their leadership is doing, how they're resolving these issues, and how they're making progress as to speaking one voice. Okay, because the people ain't gonna solve our problems. The leadership's supposed to solve the problems for the people. If I'm correct.
All right, and Attorney Malik, I just want to thank you guests for joining us this morning. All right.
Sure. I asked Brother Baleka to stay on to participate in the next panel if he can. He has some expertise on these political matters, and then you got others coming that we have on.
All right. So thank you, Sister Harriet, and thank you, Leisha, and thank you, Dr. Sabri. Then we'll talk to you some more. Keep us in the loop of how this thing, because this is just, I guess, the start of it. We haven't really touched the surface about how to get reparations. So it's going to be a lot more discussion. So please keep us in the loop. Anyway, family, let's keep moving here. 5 after the top of the hour. Attorney Malik Shabazz. Thank you for all you contributed this morning. Now we're going to talk about the creation of a black national political convention. At some point we talk about our issues. Reparations is one of them, but we need to have a meeting. This is what Attorney Malik is saying, that we need to have a meeting and flesh out what is kind of like what happened in '72 in Gary, where everybody was under the same tent. I don't know how successful it was, but it was sort of successful politically, because after that we got a lot of black mayors elected. But this time around, we've still got basically the same issues. So, Attorney Malik, why do you think we should have this meeting, this National Black Political Convention?
Thank you, Dr. Sabri.
Okay, I think that we should talk about having it, and talk about why we should have a national black political convention. Who should be invited to a national black political convention? What are the issues that should be addressed, and what should be achieved in concrete terms at a national black political convention? The reason why we're talking about it is because the people want it. I mean, you talk about it. You're a very learned, experienced man. You talk about it all the time, and everywhere I go, people speak in similar terms. So I think it's a discussion we need to see where our heads are. I mean, in 1972, you talked about people from black nationalists, so-called radicals such as Imamu Amiri Baraka, in the same convention as a Jesse Jackson or many up and coming black political officials that later constituted a black elected political class in America. It was this historic convention. It was needed, and it was good. Not perfect, but it was good. Now people want something of such today. I mean, it's impossible to say we don't want a national black political convention. White people have a strong convention. They run the government, and they come out of a convention and a party right now called the MAGA Party, and they're exercising their will. So I just think we need to have a discussion. I want to hear what the people here have to say. I know on the line here we got some veterans that would be part of it. I'm sure that they're part of the delegates that would make it up. I think we have Priscilla Teal of the Emmett Till family, who's one of Mississippi's top political activists and a former candidate and certainly a top civil rights activist. Priscilla Teal of the Till family, I think she's on. John Barnett is a national civil rights leader, former high-ranking official in the National Action Network, and he's probably the most active civil rights ground leader in the country. And I know I think we have on the line Black Panther Party movement. We can't talk about a national black political convention without talking about a Panther Party. Many people like the Panther Party model. And so that's all I got to say. I'm anxious to engage in this to see what the people are saying, and let's go for it.
All right, let's go for 10 at the top there. Sister Priscilla Till, Grand Rising, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And your thoughts, Attorney Malik says we need a national black political convention. Those of us a certain age can remember what happened in Gary in 72. Are you in agreement with this? If so, what are some of the major issues facing? Because that was the convention was called the major issues facing the black community today. What do you see as some of the major issues?
I see that our voices are not taken serious, and the issues that are continuing to happen in our community are not enough of us are standing up to fight and challenge this system that's going on right now. Like we're having the water issue here right now in the state of Mississippi. And the governor has decided that the city of Jackson no longer has the local control. He doesn't think that the majority are educated or smart enough here in the state to oversee our water in our communities in the city of Jackson. So Friday, we're going to the federal courthouse where we will watch Judge Wingate oppose this 9-member board that the governor has created. And he has put only 3 members from the city of Jackson on the city of Jackson to oversee the water system here. And he's created a board where he's allowing the lieutenant governor to choose someone. He's allowing the attorney general to choose someone. So I think we definitely need to have a committee, a national.
Yeah, let me jump in here and ask you this, Sister Priscilla, because we're talking about the water in Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, this has been going on for quite some time. Why don't the residents, and I know most of them look like us, why don't they have clean water? What's holding it up? I mean, there shouldn't even be a debate whether people in America in 2026 don't have clean water. What's the problem? What's the issue?
The issue is the leadership. As long as we have the people that we continue to put into office not fight on behalf of the 80% of black population within the city, there lies the problem. We need to vote these people out. And not only that, but you have the governor who has qualified this water manager who oversees $800 million, and yet we're still having brown water, contaminated water. And they have not only dealt with these issues, but they have raised the water rate. And there are many of us on water lawsuits. As myself, I'm a plaintiff. And you know what one of my attorneys told me as soon as the president, Donald Trump, had come into office? She told me, since Donald Trump is in office, your case is going to go to the back. They're not going to oversee the civil rights cases in Mississippi in a timely manner. And that is what has happened. They have actually put the water lawsuits to the back burner. To the back end of all the cases here in Mississippi. And not only that, but they're asking the city of Jackson to match funding in case there is suits. So in no other county in Mississippi has had to do that. So it's definitely an attack on the city of Jackson against its government. Its government is attacking the city of Jackson. And they're doing what they want to do. And that's the reason why the citizens of Jackson, Mississippi will go to the federal courthouse this Friday. And we're asking others, John Burnett, Malik Shabazz, to come down and support what is going on in the city of Jackson. I have recently taken medical reports, documentations of testing the water. We have levels of 325 of levels, results of how bad this water is. So there's a problem. It's our government that is attacking the citizen and the water. So we need help here in Mississippi. Because
let me jump in and go to Attorney Malik. Attorney Malik, obviously they're getting put it mildly, they're getting shafted in Jackson. It seems like they're getting no recourse from the state. Is there a way to bypass the state, or is this something you take to the UN? It's unconscionable for people living in this country not to have clean water. How can we help these folks out? These are our brothers and sisters.
Couple of remedies here. First of all, we got the right advocate at the table, which is Priscilla Teal. Mississippi's response, Black Mississippi's response, must be stronger. That's something that Ms. Till and I will discuss. I'm on my way to Mississippi on several legal cases, and I'll help her with this matter as well. We've gone over these water issues, and so she's got help. And then her and I are going to strategize. My initial impression is that Black Mississippi can make this a tougher fight, and we can do that. See, also in the context of a national Black political convention, the theory behind the convention and the forces that rally in such convention is that national pressure, national help, even international help can be brought to bear on to help our brothers and sisters in Mississippi on such critical, fundamental environmental and human rights issues. The stronger help can be levied from the outside. Stronger help can be attacked from the inside, and it will happen. And that's the way. And so that's something you all can count on for me and Miss Priscilla Teal. That they're facing some problems right now, but because she's as strong as she is and established as she is, you're going to see some progress, or you will see a stronger fight in the near future. And she's a key part of this convention. You see, you got delegates of our strongest that will come out of Mississippi and Georgia and Washington, D.C. and other areas around the country. And these delegates would be made up like Fannie Lou Hamer and others of our strongest organizers and activists. And then we have to talk about these other elected officials. We have to see, well, is a Hakeem Jeffries? Well, is he relevant to this? Is a Jasmine Crockett who just lost her election? Is she relevant to this? Is a Maxine Waters relevant to this, or do we forsake them? This is what we want to talk about. The Black people got problems all over this country.
Right, and hold that thought right there, because we're going to step aside for a few moments, Attorney Malik. And when we come back, tell us, you're calling for a national Black political convention, discuss our issues. The reparations, of course, is one. Also, this water issue, and it's not just Jackson, Mississippi. It's also in Benton Harbor, Michigan, where Reverend Pinckney is. It's also in Flint, Michigan. Is there a way to combine these cities and their concerns about water in America 2026 so we can reach a solution to our people? Those are our folks, family. We may not live there, but those are our folks. What we can do to help them to change the situation. Because we got some brilliant people on our side of the chessboard. We just need to get them activated. Family, you too can join our conversation with Attorney Malik Shabazz in this next panel discussing a black political convention like the one they had in Gary back in 72. What are your thoughts? You know how to reach us, 800-450-7876, and we'll take your phone calls next. Grand Rising family, thanks for rolling with us on this Tuesday morning with our guest, Attorney Malik Shabazz. He's the founder of the Black Lawyers for Justice. We've assembled a panel here to help us to flesh out some issues that are impacting our community. And one of them is whether or not we should have a national black political convention. Those of you old enough remember what happened in Gary back in 72. This is what he hopes to convene. And also we want to hear from you. If we can pull this off, what are some of the major issues facing black America today? We talked about reparations, and we had Sister Priscilla talking about the water issue in Jackson, Mississippi, and I added that this similar situation going on in Benton Harbor, Michigan, where Reverend Pinckney is, and also in Flint, Michigan. Dirty water. Just think about it. Our communities dealing with dirty water, 2026 in the United States of America. But anyway, I sort of cut you off, Brother Malik, so I'll let you finish your thought. Then we'll take there's some folks who want to have questions for the panel.
Yeah, we're happy to hear from the audience. We also have waiting on us Imam Akbar and Dashan Faraf want their opinions on this and what the Black Panthers would bring to the National Black Political Convention. Also, I want to drop this out there before we go further. I just want to know what the opinion of the audience is. And so of course, you got the attorneys. You have the attorneys. Somebody's phone is unmuted. Of course, we have the attorneys, and we have somebody's phone is unmuted. Of course, we got the attorneys, and we have the justice, the causes for justice, the families, and those that are fighting. We can assume we have those people at the table, those that are trying to get justice out of the states and the government of America who are suffering from police brutality and civil rights abuses. As we mentioned that, so you got people suffering from clean water and others. Okay, so let's look at this category also now. Not just recently in our grassroots work. Well, not recently, but more so recently. We talking with some of the OGs who comprise what they call gangs, street organizations, and we're in touch with some of the elders and the youngsters, and from the Vice Lords and from the Crips, and the Bloods and the Rolling 60s and the Pyrus and those who are in it and used to be in it. So I still want to just drop that out there to see if those in the audience think that if we do have a national black political convention, that what role, if any, would street organizations play? So-called brothers and sisters that have been locked down. I want to put that in the mix.
Let's take some calls in because we've got a bunch of folks who want to talk to you fellas. Let's start with Brother Alim. He's calling from Richmond, Virginia. He's on line 4. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Alim. You're on with the panel discussing this Black National Convention.
Yeah, wa alaikum salam, sir. My input in this morning is why not flex our muscle all the way? The local struggle should be tied into the international struggle, meaning that we should start with withdrawing all our military men and women who fighting for this country, but yet not receiving proper respect and justice. Let's cut the cord all together. This country depending on blacks to fight in the Iranian conflict and which are our people. They're going against our black people here are being used to go against our people in Cuba and in other international entities. So why not let's show what kind of power we really have. Tell all our black brothers and sisters, come out of America, come out of the military. If you don't do justice by us, let us show our force and our power and make things right. First, by doing what we have to do to let the enemy know what has been done through the years, such as the George Floyd, the lynchings of Emmett Till, we shouldn't have to ask or beg nothing. They depend on us.
Okay.
Keep this thing going.
All right. Thank you, Brother Alim. Give him a chance to respond.
Now you represent the masses of the people. If I'm involved in this convention, your resolution is going to be adopted. Not only adopted for military members to withdraw until we get justice, but what our brother's saying is we shouldn't be fighting, killing, and bleeding and dying like Muhammad Ali would say for America and receiving no justice at home. Especially shouldn't be advocating for a white racist, white supremacist president killing for him. So I just say that resolution would be adopted at a convention that I'm a part of, but it would also extend to withdrawing our economic support for companies and entities that are directly involved in the transatlantic slave trade. That we use our withdrawal and economic power there, and other areas where we don't have the power to use force. We do have the power to withdraw. We do have the power to sanction. We do have the power to pull back. We do have the power to penalize and boycott. So on the military issue, reparations, and other issues, sir, I adopt your proposal. And the way a convention works is once a consensus is adopted by the body, and it's a real convention, and it's adopted at least by a majority, then that majority goes to work to make it happen in the streets once the convention is over. Thank you, sir.
All right. Here, got another one. Dr. Cherie is listening to us in Ghana, and she says holistic health and wellness as a category. Anybody want to respond to that?
I just was saying a quick word that when it is, the way it works in a convention is that it's a featured part of the convention. The information that needs to get out to the whole black nation, because obviously it would be in person, and in theory it's attended virtually by everybody, millions, and there's thousands and thousands in person. Not only do you have critical information, but your convention is getting to the best conclusions, the best diet, the best exercise, and is getting to a mandate or a resolution that is adopted by the convention and then pushed by all the organizations. It's being pushed by the Nation of Islam, pushed by the Afro-descendant nation, pushed by the True Healing Under God, pushed by all of the various black entities from whatever perspective they come from. Yes, ma'am, you're correct. Your idea is correct, and the objective of any of these conventions, especially in this critical time under the reign of the wicked Donald Trump, is to make it effective action that comes out of such convention.
Let me just add this. Right, Attorney Malik. Let me just add also mental health as well, not just the physical health, but we need mental health. But let me ask this question. She's listening to us in Ghana. The Black Political Convention that we're discussing right now, is it going to be international or just stateside?
Well, this is a theory. We're hearing your thoughts right now. This would be when we say black national. You're talking about blacks in America. Talking about Afro-descendants inside of America who facing a peculiar situation and a unique political crisis right now. This specific convention. Yeah, there are other proposals in the Western Hemisphere for blacks or us to come together, Afro-descendants. There's a proposal on the table for the Western leadership to come together in Jamaica this year. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about a model similar to 1972 in Gary, Indiana, when it was directed towards, as it would be right now, the 40 to 50 million of us inside the pits and hells of injustices inside of North America.
All right, 30 after the top. I still got some folks who want to talk to you guys. Reggie's calling from Maryland. He's on line 3. Grand Rising, Reggie, you're on with the panel.
Grand Rising, brothers. I wanted to get you to speak on this, Brother Malik. according to the 2026 report from the UN, there were 7 European countries involved in the transatlantic slave trade and over 41 border other nations involved in it. So do you think we should broaden our reparations outside of just this country because we see that there were many involved? That's the first question. Second one is, I think Brother Quasey, Carl Nelson, and Tavis Smiley could be the ones to organize, because these brothers have proven that they can reach across both sides of the aisle and bring people in who normally would not come together. That's number 2. And I just want you to say that. And then, do we think we're going to get reparations when Gaddafi offered us reparations and it was rejected? And that was a hand from outside to help us when it wouldn't have cost America a damn dollar. So speak on that for me, brother.
Okay. I'm tight with it. You asked a lot of pregnant questions. I'm going to try to in order. Can you give me the first one again?
I think he hung up.
Okay. Help me recall this first question here.
He talked about reparations. He talked about
should we seek help outside? What he's saying is, should we seek help outside? And the second part of his question is parties that who should be invited. Okay, specifically on people that should be invited to a convention. What we want to avoid is if somebody, just say Attorney Shabazz, calling for the convention, just calling for it, and the people that he's close with or his coalition or his posse dominating the process. You might want to avoid that, but you also want to avoid doing nothing till everybody agrees, which may be never. What you try to do right now, my brother, is recognize. Try to bring a committee of persons together that begin dialoguing and talking, some of which we don't necessarily talk all the time. And that's how we get it going. Brother Carl Nelson and his circle. We got different circles amongst the black Muslims. We got different circles in the political class. You try to get you a consensus and a committee going that doesn't take forever. And then in the course of maybe 30 days or 60 days, you get a consensus of how your convention is going to work. Part of it starts with these kind of conversations. So yes, those people you mentioned are a key part of it. We're listening right now. What we're doing right now is listening on this conversation and listening on other conversations, and then we're going to put our heads together to see how to make this convention big and not just another event. On the first question of broadening our call, I think I'm going to defer. What I want to do is, I don't know if Brother Baleka's on, but I like to get his quick opinion on let's just say reparations inside of a national black political convention. And yes, there is obviously an international aspect to it. There is that's why we talking about the international connections this movement has in America. My question, if Baleka's still on, or I can answer it, would be is, can these reparations activists in America unite effectively enough to come to a convention? Can they even get to a convention with a united vote, where they are represented by a certain number of delegates, and all of these different groups, Foundation of Black America, in Cobra, Afro-Descendant Nation, who in theory is supposed to represent them all, can they all ever get together, Brother Baleka, and be represented in America, in America by just say a single vote and pass resolutions that they all agree on and that people will follow? Could they even do that in a convention? Talking about reparations.
All right, let's give him a chance to respond. I think he's in Guinea-Bissau, as you mentioned. Are you in Guinea-Bissau this morning or this afternoon for you?
Yes, I'm in Guinea-Bissau. Let me try to answer it directly and briefly. The answer is yes, right? what Malik, Attorney Shabazz, envisioned can happen. But it will only happen when all of us understand what politics is, right? It's the process of making decisions, managing resources, right, that give us the power to guide a society or a group. The essential issue here is power. And I will repeat this, I say it all the time. Whatever the local and regional issues are, for example, we heard about Jackson, Mississippi and the water problem, and then the mental health, those issues. Whatever those issues are, and whatever brilliant decisions or solutions are put on the table, they can't be implemented unless there is power. Malcolm told us we can no longer approach this problem from a domestic mindset. We had to internationalize it. We had to understand that as a human being, we possess human rights. Those human rights are protected in two treaties: the International Covenant on Political, Civil, and Economics, and then there's another one for social and cultural. Okay, so politics, right? The power to organize our community, make decisions, manage those resources. If I'm an individual and I want to buy a house and I don't have the economic power, I don't have enough money, either I do without the house or I've got to what? Ask my family members. I have to then maybe go to a lending institution. Basically, I have to broaden my relationships and get others to join me so that I can have the economic power to buy my house. If we're talking about politics, it's the same thing, right? How are we going to make decisions and manage our resources if we don't have a national political convention, and then after that, an apparatus, a political party who's responsible to us and our resources? Finally, with regards to the reparations, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in 2022 asked the legal community, African and Afro-descendant people, to come up with a common position or a common reparations claim for the entire global African reparatory justice movement. I succeeded in doing that, and I presented that unified legal framework, and it goes back to understanding that...
Hold that thought right there, Brother Sipaway. We got to take a short break here. I'll let you finish your thought on the other side. Brother Sipaway is checking in from Guinea-Bissau. You folks can join us as well on this discussion about having a national black political convention. What are your thoughts? 800-450-7876. We'll get you in, and we'll take your phone calls next. And Grand Rising family, thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday morning at 17 minutes away from the top of the hour. Our guest is Attorney Malik Shabazz, the founder of the Black Lawyers for Justice. He's impaneled a group here to discuss with the creation of a black national political party and some of the issues that we need to discuss, some of the major issues facing the black community. Before we left, I see the Brother Akbar has joined us from Washington, D.C. We'll get to him in a moment. But let's go back to Guinea-Bissau, where Brother Sipaway is, and let him finish his thought. Brother Sipaway, go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, this was in response to the caller who had asked about internationalizing the reparations movement. And I was just simply saying that an effort from the African Commission on Human and People's Rights in 2022 asked for legal minds to come up with a single reparations claim for all African people. And we achieved that when we realized that the entire thing that we know as the Transatlantic Slave Trade was launched by an apostolic decree by Pope Nicholas V on June 18, 1452. It was a declaration of war that authorized the European nations to invade, conquer, fight, take all of our property, and reduce the people to perpetual servitude. And that after this declaration of war was given, the Catholic Church, the Vatican, issued these monopoly war contracts. So it went to each nation in succession: the Portuguese, the Genoese, the Spanish, the Dutch, the French, the British, including the British colonies, These are the legal documents that establish the chain of legal custody or legal responsibility for the slave trade. And so now with this UN resolution, right, that's the effort, is to bring a unified claim before the International Court of Justice. So our reparations movement in America needs to be involved in this process. Now, finally, as this relates to the proposed National Black Political Convention, again, the issue is always power. And we saw that, for example, with the ICJ advisory opinion against the Israelis for their genocide in Gaza, they ruled in favor of the Palestinians, said Israel must pay reparations, and to this date they haven't. So we now see that the international community, international law, legal community is not enough to compel a nation to actually pay the reparations. So it goes all the way back then to, all right, we as 40, 50 million black people in America, we cannot count on domestic law to bring us justice, nor international law. So we have different levels of education in our nation. We have different levels of consciousness. We have different financial levels. We have different interests that govern our behavior. How are we going to make decisions, manage resources, and coordinate our behavior to use all that we have to build as much power that we can that is under our control, right, to develop policies that we can implement? If we don't have a national black political convention, and out of that come out with a national apparatus, then we will be like that individual who doesn't have enough money to buy a home and cannot join economic or money forces to achieve what they want. If we don't build the political power, right, we won't be able to manage our resources in a way that helps us.
Gotcha. 13 away from the top. Let's bring in Brother Akbar from Washington, D.C. He's on line 3. Grand Rising, Brother Akbar, your thoughts? Is Brother Akbar there on line 3?
Yes, sir. We're right here. Thank you, Brother Carl Nelson, again for a dynamic show. Thank you, Dr. and Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, for bringing the facts as only you can bring them. And as a doctor and attorney, we have a very special surgery that's going in behind the leadership of the Honorable Dr. and Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and Honorable Hashim Ekanat Nzinga. We're on tour right now from, we started in New York and went into the Sankofa, came to Washington, D.C. for the Black Holocaust, and went into Norfolk, Virginia to stop the white supremacy. And it's a reflection on the leadership of Donald John Trump as we went into Memphis to talk about the issues on the streets of Memphis, and then building the Black Panther Party in an effort to place a Black Panther in every household. So as you said earlier, he has quite a vision, and we've gone into Minneapolis on this weekend and fed the people, and now we are working to defend the people. So again, in the spirit of Honorable Huey P. Newton, must arm yourself or harm yourself. And Fred Hampton said, oh, you can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. The Honorable Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad says, to come to the fight, but bring your God and your gun. And he said that revolution is the only solution. I'm the Ambassador Sheikh Al-Imam Akbar Abdullah Kareem, and they're teamed up with our Dr. Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. And I say, you can kill a black revolutionary, but you can't kill the black revolution. And you know that black revolution is the only solution at this hour. Is that right, Brother Carl and Dr. Malik? And we have Doshan Farad with us, our information manager. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, we're running out of time, but that's an excellent statement. And what I want to say is that if a national black political convention occurs along the lines of discussing something very important, which is a political party for black people, I know for a fact that the Black Panthers and the Black Panther Party movement in specific will be a major part of it. I know this audience will feel happy to know that the Black Panther is making a comeback, that the Black Panther type groups around the country are coming together. It was a National Ministry of Defense Summit that took place Sunday. Some of the top defense trainers in the nation came together. Chairman Paul Birdsong, the one that some of y'all have been seeing or talking about, of the Black Lion Party, where he's coming back to the Black Panther. Also, we good terms with him. He would be part of such convention. So I just want to tell the audience that if such convention occurs, I believe that you will be looking at a resurrected and an emerging Black Panther of coming to that convention that will give us hope, and the Panthers will be very effective. Where will they be effective? Well, if you're getting ready to shut down they're very effective on the streets. They're very effective for sanctions. They're very effective for boycotts. They're very effective for street action. They're very effective at relating to young people, relating to, as we talked about earlier, so-called gang members, and as they started off in the beginning in the late 60s. So that's that. We count on the Black Panther. I think we got John Barnett, civil rights veteran. He and I worked together on many civil rights legal cases and causes. Yeah, it's all intersecting. He's with our movement. So I don't know if John Barnett is on, but I'd like to get his opinion on National Black Political Convention.
I don't see
many all-purpose. Yes, sir. All-purpose Panthers, and one in the mix we have Brother Dilshan Farad, a communication expert and national journalist.
Farad going to give his quick opinion.
Bring that dynamic.
Let's get a quick
to the mic now. But we have many APP all-purpose Panthers, and they are very uniquely trained. But the dynamic we bring is our own family value system, and we bring our own systems of socialism and politics. Brother
Very good job. Very good job.
Black Power.
So I want to say to you, Brother Imam, very good job out there on the highways in Norfolk, meeting and organizing our people. Memphis, Tennessee, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Great job. Brother Dashawn Farad, come give us your quick opinion on the possibility for a national Black political convention. Give us a quick opinion.
Hotep Black Power family, this is Dashawn Farad. Well, keep in mind, we first attempted that more recently in 1972, and I believe that we can do it again. I always tell people, Dr. John Henry Clark stated that the most important speech of Brother Malcolm's career was his Ballad of the Bullet speech, in which he explains how Black people can use our vote from a revolutionary perspective. I keep telling Black folk, particularly Black Democrats, every time we have these get out the vote campaigns, it is always get out to vote Democrat, never to vote to establish political power and economic power. So as people of African descent, those of us who are coming in the revolutionary footsteps of Huey P. Newton, Brother Malcolm, Bobby Seale, Kwame Ture, so many others, it's important that we establish major political power to gain the independence that Garvey, Clark, and so many others, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke about. And I'm going to end with this note here. Dr. John Henry Clark stated, Pan-Africanism or perish. Once we establish political power and economic power or activate it, we have to make sure that we establish strong ties with our people across the diaspora. We are not a minority as Black people in America. We belong to a world majority. And that's all I have to say. Hotep Black Power, Dashawn Farad.
Hotep and Black Power. Assalamu alaikum.
All right.
Great job.
We got about 2 minutes left, Counselor. Anything you want to say before we let you go? Because a bunch of folks are still on hold, didn't get a chance to speak.
I would take some more calls. The people's voice is important, and we need to have this conversation. We need to ask these questions and get this conversation going across the Black nation.
Let's go to New York City. Brother Rockman's waiting for us on line 4. Brother Rockman, can you make it quick for us?
Possible, bro. Where would this convention be held at? Would you have any idea?
It could be held in many cities, but in theory, it would be Washington, D.C. In theory, but it don't have to be, but in theory.
All right, let's do this real quick, Counselor. John, I think we got John Barnett on line 2. John, can you make it quick for us?
Yes, I sure can. What we could bring to the table for a national black convention, I think is imperative. We need to save our youth. And I think whatever we can do to draw their attention, it will be imperative. I was on a conference call this week with Brother Malik Zulu. Good morning to you. And I was basically telling him, you know, Gatorade and Hanes uses Michael Jackson to promote their product. We got to be able to do something to draw our youth in there. Because I think at this point right now, it's imperative that we save our young black boys. They are dying at a rapid rate. The numbers are alarming. And I think at the convention, it's something that would probably bring a large group of boys to a convention, because there's no more Boy Scouts. Not that we need to send them there. There's the only places where black boys are being drawn to are rap concerts. We got to be able to change that. And so I think it's imperative that we need to do a convention. If we do one every month, it's imperative. I'll close in saying this. I think that a lot of leaders, Barack Obama, NAACP president, over a decade and a half ago, maybe longer, had a meeting on the unemployment rate of black people in this country. And it was said after that meeting that the unemployment, I know I'm going from youth to unemployment, it said that it's so bad in America for black folks that if any other race was suffering from the unemployment, that it would be a national crisis. So not only do we need to save our boys, we need to save ourselves.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse as well. Listen, thank you, John, for calling in. I know he was kind of late, but we're just flat out of time. Attorney Malik, give us some information how folks can reach you that want more information about this National Black Convention.
They can do is 202, you can text 202-369-9986. 202-369-9986. If you believe you could play a valuable role in this convention. We thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody who contributed as well. We're just flat out of time here. Class is dismissed, family. Stay strong. Stay positive. Please stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, right here in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB and in the DMV on 1450 WOL.